Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another day here on our channel at Reachin Reverie. If you're new here, my name is Alex and welcome. We would love for you to join us today on our video as we provide a little update of what we've been up to. And if you're not new here, welcome back. We love having you. So this morning I wanted to show you guys what we've been up to. It is a brisk, cool October 20th morning and it is officially sweater weather. I am wearing my favorite sweater that I've had for several years. It's from Reachin Refuge Farm and it says, "Turn your waiting room into a classroom." And that is, it's gotta be my favorite motto of all time. Do what you can where you are, and then as you grow, you'll have the skills to do better and more when you get there. So this morning we are coming out right at sunrise. You can see we still have the beautiful pink on the horizon from the morning. And I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what we've been up to. We have mostly hit a huge stall out and slow down the past couple weeks. We've been pushing really hard. We, from start to move-in day, got our shop erected and built in right at 30 days, and so that was a huge project. Josh and I put in a lot of hours and time and resources into that build of our shop over there. And it's not 100% complete yet. We do still have to stucco the outside. We do still have to finish the bathroom. We still have to trim out and do some of the pretty aesthetics on the inside, but we are all moved in. And so the past couple weeks we've been putting a lot of energy into recovery and rest, unpacking, trying to take a breath and really enjoy that we are here full-time on our property now. And we've also been piddling around with some little projects, and I wanted to show you those. This is one of the things I'm going to be working on today. This is a chicken coop and run for our laying hens. We did kind of stall out and have been taking our time. One of my dear friends, Jean, actually is pet sitting my chickens over at her house with her flock, and so there hasn't been a rush. She told us, you know, take as long as we need, and so we've been very slowly putting together this chicken coop and run. We want to make sure it's solid and protected before we bring our girls over here, because we do have, you know, foxes and raccoons and coyotes and hogs, you know, that literally come right up to the front doors of our houses here, of our house of our house here on our property. So we wanted to make a really functional Fort Knox chicken coop, and our motivation has been kind of lacking because these chickens, they are essentially lawn ornament pets. They don't lay eggs anymore enough to really even be worthwhile. I feel like we maybe get an egg a month out of them. And so we have just been dragging our feet. I feel like this build has taken just as long as our 30-day shop build. So we need to get it into gear. But what I'm going to be doing is, we had talked about covering the outside of this with corrugated tin just to help create little pockets of insulation for them. Also, you know, really protect this OSB from the elements. And since that conversation, we have thrown a couple coats of paint on this, and we have since decided to go another direction, and we won't be covering this in tin. We're just going to leave it painted, and we feel like that'll be good enough. I do and have started putting the hardware cloth on to this, and today I'm going to be working more on hardware cloth on this thing. With these girls being old chickens, we are gonna tell them, may the odds be ever in your favor, and do the best we can, but they're really old and not giving us anything back. They're just eating food. Oh, look at the clouds so low right there on that mountain in the distance. And it's not really that we've been negligent with building the chicken coop. We have been splitting our projects up and working on a lot of things at one time. So if we had all of our time to devote to that chicken coop, it would have probably been up a month ago. But oh, look at the mountain as the sun's coming up. I just love this time of day. So if we had all of the time in the world to devote to this chicken coop, it would have been up already. But we also are splitting our projects and time, working on a lot of other really important things here on the property as well. We are getting closer to our first frost. Our first frost averages October 13th every year, and it can go anytime into mid-November. It could start as soon as the 13th of October. So we are officially in that window where we could get a first frost at any time. It hasn't frosted yet. So far we've been getting down into the low 50s at night, getting up and averaging about 75 to 80 temperature highs in the day. And so we are trying to get ready for our first frost. One of the things that Josh is planning on doing this weekend is actually skirting our RV. He's going to be, when you skirt your RV, you're essentially going to be creating like a little barrier to prevent the wind and airflow from getting underneath the RV. Over the past couple weeks, we did bring on our second water tank, and so that is something that we had to devote a day to go and get. It was about a 3-hour round trip drive to go pick it up and bring it back, and it turned into a little bit of a longer trip. We ended up breaking 2 straps on the drive, and we had to pull over about 4 times to get this thing here. With this first tank, we didn't have any issues hauling it. With the second tank, the eyelets that we were strapping into were really jagged and were cutting our straps. So it took almost a half a day really to go down, pick it up and bring it back and get it here. We have since then, I say we, Josh has been hauling water. So we have rainwater collection set up on this first tank, and we are actually here in the next couple weeks planning to adjust and redo this water catchment. Instead of having it come down and then drop, we're noticing it's creating a sag right here. We are actually going to move this T over to drop like straight down, and then it's going to tee out and come straight here. We are going to end up cutting the pipe up here and putting in what we call a leaf eater, where there's going to be essentially an area that will skim out or prevent things like bugs and plant debris and other articles that would make it up onto the roof from getting into the tank. Instead of just relying on this drop pipe, we will have an extra layer of protection there. So we do plan on tying the 2 tanks together eventually, but for now Josh is filling up the second tank with well water that he is hauling from a local source we have nearby, and he is devoting probably about 3 hours a day right now to hauling water. We have a tank that's 325 gallon capacity, and then another tank that, I don't know, I think that's about 200 gallons. And then we will be getting 2 more tanks this week that will increase our capacity to close to 1,000 gallons per haul. We also have some pumps that once we get the water hauled here, he hooks them up to the pumps and actually pumps the water uphill into this tank, and he's created this setup right here. This isn't 100% done. He is still going to make some adjustments to this to stabilize the piping. We'll end up having a bucket that we can set under so that when we're done hauling the water, everything that's in this we can empty out, so we're not holding water in this pipe that we can then go and like water a tree with and things like that. But when he hooks up these pumps, it probably takes about an hour to empty out this water into the pump So you can imagine what Josh's evenings have looked like over the past couple of days. But once we get this tank filled up, we will then kind of be on like a maintaining management style of water hauling, where we will just keep it topped off so that we're always full, instead of having to, you know, spend a lot of time hauling water. It'll really just be maintaining it, which is going to be really awesome. I think this first initial push just to fill it up is really taking a lot of time and energy, but it won't be like that forever. Now, we do plan on eventually digging a well out here. We will absolutely have to, because we do plan on growing a sizable fruit orchard here on the property, and we also plan on having a nice sized garden, and we'll eventually be having more livestock, like besides my 3 geriatric chickens. We'll have dairy goats as well in the future. We also plan on having meat rabbits and potentially more down the road. And so these 2 3,000-gallon water tanks will need help, because I think the fruit trees for the first several years until they're really established are going to need like at least 2 gallons of water each a week per tree, and we're planning on having between probably 30 and 45 fruit trees. The garden is going to be about 3,600 square feet. We're looking at, if we were just relying on this, pretty much going through these tanks every month and having to haul a lot of water. And so we decided that we are going to prioritize getting a well at some point, but that does take resources we don't have at the moment. So for now, we are not planting fruit trees. We of course would like to plant those trees as soon as possible, but we have to live within our means, and so we're going to start off with these tanks. We'll probably get the orchard in next year, and then we are going to start on the garden, getting that space set up over the winter, and maybe start small and not build all of the garden beds at once, and kind of step it out to where we are building upwards in a manageable pace that we can sustain and kind of grow with our means over time. In this area, we do need to clean up a little bit. We've been going so fast, and we will get there, but we did plant some trees. We have a little olive tree that's doing pretty good. He is bouncing back really well. This tree actually froze last year, and he was about a 4-foot tree, and I ended up having to cut him back, and he's come up really well. And so he's been really resilient, hardy, and kind of rolling with the punches. Our other olive tree looks like it's gonna die back this year. We think it'll live, but it'll probably look more like that one come spring, because he is not handling the move really well. I think he's gonna lose all of his foliage. So we'll see how he does, but it's not really the ideal time to be moving and planting trees. You really want to do that when they're dormant for the winter. And here we are. So I think it stressed him out a little bit planting him, but we wanted to make sure he was in the ground so that he could handle the freeze and the weather, because we do get pretty cold here. We're in zone 8 here out in far western Texas. Living in this area for the past 12 going on 13 years, the coldest I have seen it get here is about 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and so it is a place that can kill olive trees. And so we did decide to put them on the south side, protected from the north wind by all of this stuff, where they can get full sun all day long and kind of get a break from the wind. Good morning, sun. We come across our little driveway. We do plan on making this circle right here into a seated, beautiful area. We will probably be clearing out all of the tumbleweeds, encouraging native grasses to grow. We may be transplanting some cactus over here to be situated tastefully in this little area. Like we love our rainbow cactus. maybe a couple nice prickly pears. And we'll be eventually putting some kind of bench seating in here so that we can really just enjoy this space that we love. We do have another Palo Verde planted there and a little Ocotillo over here. Ocotillos are really interesting native plants. They're one of my favorite plants, and we actually didn't have any on the property, but they do grow readily in this area. And Ocotillos, they usually primarily do not have foliage. They have a lot of spines, and they usually just look like pointy sticks. They can grow over 20 feet tall, and they'll have several little octopus tentacle branches that come up. And when I planted this, he was actually fully leafed out, and he's been in here for about a week now, and he's starting to lose his foliage, which I'm not worried about. Ocotillos actually will completely lose all of their leaves and grow new leaves about 10 times per season. They leaf out every time it rains, and then when it gets dry again, they lose all of their leaves. So I think he's stressed from being transplanted into this spot, but I have no doubts that he is a super hardy cactus that will come back with a vengeance in the spring. So we're just gonna let him go through his little stress period, and I can't wait to show you how good he looks in the spring. I'm gonna walk around our circle drive and show you what's been developing over there, and then we'll go up to the front and I'll show you what we did yesterday as well. So we've been doing a lot of little projects, and it's been really nice. I've been organizing a little bit on the inside, not as much as I would hope to do. Our days are getting so much shorter by the day. I mean, this morning sunrise wasn't until 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, what? I hate when these days get shorter, but you know what? That's okay. It's just another season. Josh and I, and I'll show you this a little bit more in depth in a future video, but just a glimpse, Josh and I actually stepped off the garden so that we can mentally prepare ourselves for the area that we're going to be cleaning out so that we can get it all fenced up. But over here, this is going to be right outside the back door of our house, as we do plan on building our house right here, and we'll have a little pathway. It'll lead into our leach field, which hopefully will be full of grass one day. A girl can dream, right? And then if you come this way, we're going to end up having a path with a cottage garden right where we're standing, and it's going to lead into the garden. So we have some flags over here, and it's supposed to be 115 feet long, and I think Josh misheard me and he went 150 feet. But generally, this is one of the tentative corners of the garden, and it's going to go all the way out here 115 feet, and it is 40 feet wide. So we have our other pink flag just on the other side of this shrub thicket right there. So we'll walk this out in another video. We do plan on Josh and I spending a lot of time combing through here and rescuing plants that we don't want to just be cleared out. Like, we've been flagging plants of interest in this area. Like, we have these beautiful little rainbow cactuses that we're gonna transplant to another home so that they don't get cleared. And then we also are going to very delicately transplant any yuccas that we find. These are native and common to the area of Texas that we live in, but there are only a handful on our property, and we love yuccas. So we will be carefully removing him and getting him to a safer location. And look at these termites, you guys. You see that little termite tunnel? We have termites literally everywhere on the property. The other day I had a wooden handled pitchfork and it was super windy and the pitchfork fell onto the ground, and the very next day when I picked it up, the handle was covered in termites. Like 12 hours. You can't leave any wood unattended. So we do carry around a bottle of vinegar with us, and anytime we see the termites somewhere they shouldn't be, they get sprayed. Man, just look at the sun and the way that it shines through the grass. It's just one of my favorite sights. So yeah, so we're really excited. That's going to be a winter project that we're going to be doing over the next couple months. Is before spring, we're going to come through here and clear all of this area out where the garden's going to be. And we do plan on making sure it's nice and level. We're going to take all of the shrubs and cactus and vegetation out of here. I'm kind of thinking we'll get the areas prepped and then put like a nice black, like a silage tarp over the growing spaces. That way we can try to sprout some weeds and let them die off under cover, so that when growing season comes, we aren't going to have a bunch of tumbleweeds in the garden. Another wishful thinking, I suppose, but maybe doable. So right now I'm walking back up our circle drive, and we're going to go to the front of the property. And the last thing I wanted to show you on our quick update video this week is I wanted to show you some things that we're working on towards the front of the property. So as we're walking up to the front of the property, I did want to mention yesterday we saw the cutest little quail, a little family right here in this section, and it was just so cute. I know, the little things, sometimes it's the little things in life that bring us joy. So in this area we do plan on clearing out a lot of the vegetation. We actually will be keeping a lot of the shrubs, turning them into tree shapes, and we want to keep a lot of the legumes like mesquite, maybe some catclaw, some awthorn, or whitethorn acacia, different things like that that may be growing out here, because they typically have a long taproot that can help draw water up, and then they also fix nitrogen into the soil over time, and so that will help your plants grow. And so we will be spacing rows of fruit trees and then leaving some of the shrubs in this area, but we will largely be clearing out the cactuses and the real bushy thickets of vegetation as well, so that it will be nice and grassy in this area over time. And we will be planning on spacing the rows to where we can run animal tractors down the roads, such as a tractor would be like a movable housing for an animal that's a livestock. So we may do rabbits or turkeys or meat chickens, where we'll have a tractor that will move every day to where they can eat and range on fresh grass, and grow nice and big and strong, while also be shaded by the fruit trees eventually when they grow tall enough. So we'll be placing several rows of trees going this way and in between the rows we'll be running tractors, and then in between the trees along the rows we're thinking about planting bushes like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. You get the idea. So lots of things to come. I've been doing a lot of research on orchards the past week or so, even though we don't plan on actually planting out the trees until probably next winter. But I'm one of those people that I love to plan for things, and I love to be prepared, and I like to know what I'm doing when I start. I don't want to jump in feet first, and especially with an investment like an orchard that's going to cost a lot of money, and they're living things, so I want to steward them well. I want to know what I'm doing before I get my feet wet. So we'll probably be continuing to do orchard research until next year around this time when we decide to go ahead and plant those trees. Up here at the front of the property, Josh did a little bit of clearing yesterday. We had a large thicket of shrubs and bushes right in this section, but we do have it marked off, and this is going to be where we place our dumpster. We will finally be getting trash disposal here on the property, which we're thankful that they even come out this far to pick up trash, which is just amazing. We have realized how much trash we go through, and we've largely reduced that and minimized it. We're less wasteful, but still it is a huge inconvenience to have to haul our trash out of here without a dumpster. And so we're doing things, we're moving up in the world, we're getting trash disposal. So that hopefully will be here in the next week. We'll have a little dumpster right there. We are looking at our gate situation. You can see the original gate from the property that we will actually be removing. We may be using that farther back in the property for livestock fencing. We may use that as a gate on the goat pasture, and we're actually going to be taking out all of the fencing up to that H over there. We're going to be coming in with a fence on the property, and then we're going to have a gate come diagonally across the road here, and then it's going to come straight back. So essentially our entrance, instead of having a gate right here, it's going to be a like V-shape cutout where we're going to have the gate, like you're going to drive into the property and have the gate to come in. And the reason we do that is to help access the property with large machinery and trucks that may not be able to make a 90-degree turn like into this gate. So that, you know, with Josh being a delivery driver and driving a semi, he's very mindful of access and wanting to make sure like the utility vehicles, trash, electric, anytime we're hauling stuff onto the property, that it's easy coming and going. And the other thing that we worked on this week, we actually did this yesterday, is we planted more little bird of paradises up here at the front of the property. We have them in berms that will help hold water, and we've mulched them with mesquite mulch that we have chipped here on the property. And it's just looks so good, this mulch. We absolutely love that we've been able to recycle all the mesquite trees that we've pulled out into something that's usable on the property. We're hoping that these guys survive. Bird of paradise is perennial here where we live, but they will die back to the ground when it freezes. And so what we're planning on doing is hoping that they can establish their little rooties, and then we will cut them back when they freeze in the winter. It will mulch over them or cover them, and then in the spring hope that they come back. And these in our area typically grow between 6 and 10 feet every year, and so this will be a nice little shrubby wall going this way. They'll be spaced far enough apart that hopefully if we take care of them well, it'll be a beautiful floral sight to see. They do have really beautiful red and yellow flowers that they grow. So I've planted, with Josh's help, 5 of these little guys. Right in here. And we do plan on coming in and cleaning up trash when we get our dumpster. We've noticed that the water kind of runs downhill right here, and it washes trash onto the property, and which is going to benefit us long term that water runs on the property, because with the orchard it'll help water. So with these berms, like right now I have little circles to collect water, but once these guys get more established, I'm going to open this up to where it's a U shape instead of a full circle. That way whenever it rains, the water will run into and collect in those berms to help water those plants. But yeah, look at that. Just all kinds of There's something in that bush I just scared away. There's all kinds of trash that has just like washed onto the property. So once we get our dumpster, I'll come back up here. Oh, it's a bunny. I'll come onto here and clean up. I always want to say a jack-tailed black rabbit, but it's a black-tailed jackrabbit. There he is. That's a good place to live, dude. Real thick. I'm not gonna hurt you. I just wanted to get a good look. There he goes. Well, Josh and I are gonna run into town for some Sunday breakfast this morning, and then I'm gonna come back and get started working on the coop. I'm gonna show you guys an update of how that coop build turns out, but thank you guys for hanging out with us today and every day that you do. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. That way you can stay up to date here at Reachin Reverie with all of the latest and greatest news and upcoming events. And until next time, keep doing what you're doing, and y'all have a great day.